Morning. Committee of Adjustment meeting for for May 14th, 26 will now come to order. A notice to all those in attendance that this meeting will be live streamed on YouTube and recorded. Please note that the recording will be linked to the municipal website following the meeting. Our committee today consists of Chris Bishop, Jerry Walker, Adam Meyer, our Secretary Treasurer, Jeff Isles, our Director of Planning and Land Information, Don Popple, and myself, Barry Boyce, Chair. This is a public hearing to consider 3 applications for a minor variance to the municipality's zoning bylaw. It is the committee's responsibility to consider all information received to date regarding the requested variances and to hear and consider any comments or questions provided by these applications. Any variances granted by the committee must meet 4 tests which are defined in the Planning Act. The requested variances must be minor in nature, must be desirable for proper development of the land, must comply with the general intent of the official plan, and must comply with the general intent of the zoning bylaw. Please note that if anyone wishes to be notified of the decision, please make a request in writing to the municipality. Does any committee member wish to declare a conflict of interest? Nope. Okay, being none. Any oral or written submissions received in advance of the meeting will be verbally read out loud at the time of the application is considered. All persons who have pre-registered will have the opportunity to present or ask questions about the proposals. Please direct all your questions and comments to the chair. Please state your name in relation to the application prior to speaking. I'll now need a motion to adopt the minutes from the meeting of April 9th, 2026. Moved by Chris Bishop. Seconded by Jerry Walker. All in favor? Carried. And also, we need to adopt some minutes for the site visit on May 12th, 2026, which I think everybody had survived. Moved by Jerry Walker. Seconded by Chris Bishop. All in favor? Thank you. Carried. Okay. 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 There. Wait. I did, so I said it again. Voting.
Chris, did you want to speak? I'm trying to promote you as a panelist and it says that you keep declining it. If you'd like to speak on the behalf of your application.
Hey, does this work?
You're,
Yep, we can hear you.
we can hear you, Chris.
Beauty.
Okay. So our first applications for lands of Petro and Tangradi. So Chris, do you want to give us a rundown of what
Yeah.
you're trying to accomplish here?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we started this process, I don't know, 8, 9 months ago, started batting around the idea of doing a garage, under the impression that to have a loft space, you only needed a certain amount of feet from the adjacent property under that scope. Obviously, it came back that the properties are defined as something different. Really, the intended use of the property is long-term family use. Frankly, I work out of the cottage during the summertime, and allows it will ultimately be my space where I work from, and we are very excited about building a garage, and hopefully that this gets approved.
Okay. Committee members, you guys have any comments, questions?
Yes, a couple questions, Chris. The slotted area around that looks like deck all the way around it, where the hash marks are on the drawing.
Yeah, let me pull it up.
And
Is that on the front of the garage, you mean?
front, like all four sides, it shows a hash.
Oh, that would just be the overhang, I believe.
Oh, I see. Okay. So then the deck is only on the front?
Yeah, and we adjusted the building to comply with the rules of the decking.
Right. Okay. And then kind of concern number two, with the 483 square feet, I believe that's kind of the max that the bylaw allows. So couple of questions. Was there a reason you didn't add it to the actual building? Where you could kind of reconfigure and get a different layout to help minimize that setback?
Yeah, I think we really wanted to make it work with the property and not just look at like a second or an afterthought and just kind of attach it. We wanted that flow to be able to make it work with the environment.
Okay.
If I could just speak there, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so Chris, your neighbors do have some legitimate concerns about the building being close to the lot line. It's supposed to be 14.7 and it's going to be 3.1 feet. So I believe that they do have some legitimate concerns, and my thoughts would be that we would defer a decision today to do a site visit.
Yeah, whatever you guys want to do, take a look.
Yes, they are here. If you want, I could go through
Sure.
the comments received, the conditions, and then if you want to let the neighbors speak, if they have any comments.
Sure.
That works. So through you, Chair, notice of minor variance was circulated as required by regulation on April 28, 2026. The following comments have been received. So I received 3. So the first was an email from Rodco Enterprise, who does snow maintenance for the shared driveway. They mentioned that the proposed building will not impede the snow maintenance. And then an email from John and Lydia Horton, the neighboring property owners, was received. They have concerns with the proposed location of the 2-story garage / private cabin and the impact it will have on privacy, vegetation, parking, lighting, and snow maintenance. And then lastly, an email from the applicants in response to the comments from the neighbors was received. The email outlined how each concern was going to be addressed, and it was attached on the agenda. And then, should the committee decide to grant the requested variance, the following conditions would be appropriate. Condition number 1, these variances apply to a 2-story private cabin / private garage as shown generally on the property sketch dated April 20th, 2026 and attached to the decision. Condition number 2, the County of Haliburton Shoreline Tree Preservation Bylaw 3505 applies. Condition number 3, the Municipality of Dysart et al. Site Alteration Bylaw 2023-101 as amended applies. Condition number 4, during construction, proper site preparation and construction methods are to be used to prevent sedimentation of the adjacent lake. Condition number 5, prior to the pouring of footings, the applicants shall submit confirmation from an Ontario land surveyor that the two-story accessory building / private cabin complies with the minimum interior side lot line setback as granted by the committee. Condition number 6, prior to the pouring of footings, the applicant shall submit confirmation from Ontario land surveyor that the two-story private cabin / private garage complies with the minimum street setback as granted by the committee. Condition number 7, prior to the pouring of footings, the applicant shall remove or bring the sauna into compliance with the zoning bylaw. Condition number 8, prior to occupancy, a planting strip shall be implemented and or maintained along the interior side lot line to screen the two-story accessory building. Condition number 9, no decks, windows, doors, openings, or lights shall be located on the side of the two-story private cabin / private garage abutting the interior side lot line in which the variance was granted. And then I can bring in the neighbors right now.
Okay.
Sorry, I will just comment on the variance. Barry may know, but I encourage you guys to take a look at the lot lines. The lot line runs basically just off the edge of John's deck or the Horton's deck, and on a kind of a really hard degree, I would say almost like a 70 or 80 degree, like 45 degree angle back. And that's really what drives that lot line. You'll see where it is close to that lot line.
They are marked, Chris, pretty well, the lot lines.
Not really. You got to go find the peg in the ground and then kind of run it, back. But yeah, I mean, I could take a look when I'm up there this weekend, see if I can find the one that's just off the corner of the deck. And then I think the stake is still in the ground near where they put their septic in.
Okay. Yep. Okay. Do you want to bring in the neighbors? Thanks, Chris.
John and Lydia, do you have any comments you'd like to share? Could you unmute your mic? It says it's muted.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, so I wanted to thank the committee for listening to us today. I also want to preface our remarks by suggesting to the committee that it's not our intention to stop the construction of this garage. We do have some concerns, and I think that if communication is a priority, that compromise is available here. It's unfortunate that we had to receive notification through mail and didn't receive any communication about this from our neighbor. But that's done. That's not here. But again, we have a garage. We're supportive of our neighbors having a garage, but there are a few concerns that we have.
Our biggest concern is privacy and the loss of any buffer that we have at this point. That is one of our biggest concerns. The other concern is we're not quite sure where there's a staircase shown on the diagram, if that's going up on which side of the garage.
It looks like in the diagram that Adam sent to us that it's on the side that faces us. So that's a concern. I mean, we understand why the staircase is going to be on the outside, because then if it's on the inside, then it takes away from square footage. We get that. But is it possible, and here's a compromise for us, is it possible that staircase be put either on the lake side, or I'm not sure if there's room on the side that faces their cottage. We're just concerned about people going up and down there at night, and a light being up. You can't have a staircase. I don't know what the bylaw is per se, but I'm sure that you have to have a staircase has to be lit for nighttime use. The other thing is, and Lydia was alluding to it, is that there are 2 pine trees that were put between the 2 properties. The Petros paid for that. That was on discussion when they were putting up their cottage. And is it possible for those pine trees to be left in place? So it gives at least a bit of a buffer between our place and their garage. Now, it's not going to be the same degree of buffering that is there currently, but they want to have a garage, and
It's a
again,
compromise.
it's a compromise.
We're concerned about the snow removal, where the snow will go. At this point, the snow tends to be it gets pushed towards our cottage, and it's difficult to get into our cottage to check it when we can for insurance purposes. And so now, without that space where it could be pushed, we feel that we don't know, how are they going to keep it away from our staircase. And we're also concerned about the tightness of, it's already a very tight area to maneuver cars in and out on both sides, I believe. And we're just concerned about the increase in the tightness of that area now. It's just going to be even more problematic. I think that pretty well covers it.
Okay, thanks, guys. Chris, do you want to jump
Yeah.
in here for a second and
Yeah, sure.
answer a couple of those questions?
Yeah, happy to. I think with regards to the snow removal is probably the biggest one. We actively use the cottage in the wintertime. Rodco tends to plow straight down the driveway without accommodating for, pushing off at various points for which they could do. This is obviously something we're highly cognizant of, as we don't want to get stuck, at the bottom of the driveway trying to get out with an infant or a toddler. And I think that what we've talked about with them is pushing the snow, into various areas away prior to pushing down the driveway. And I think that will make a meaningful difference of the amount of snow that actually ends up at the bottom. Like I said, we don't want to get stuck at the bottom of the driveway with a big snow pile that we can't, because you got to take a bit of a run at the driveway. It's pretty steep. So, they were confident in, what we talked about and proposed. And I think even as they typically pull away from our front door, if it allows us to back in, we probably wouldn't have them do that. We would just pull into the driveway, into the garage, and park in there, which I think should alleviate a lot of the snow that's at the bottom, frankly. On the trees, yeah, I think the way where the building is located would accommodate for those trees staying there. We don't want to move them. I brought it up to John as an option to move them. Like I said, the lot line does go on quite an angle, so they're straight right now. It's really given them, the Hortons, the ability to park two vehicles at the bottom of their driveway. And, we put them there because it kind of made the most sense. And we don't really have any intent to move those. So I think we would be more than happy to leave them as is. With regards to the stairs, I understand that concern, recognize it. I don't know if you're allowed to put stairs on the front side of a building. That might be a question for the committee, if you guys know.
Jeff, you got an answer to that?
Through you, Chair. That's a good question. I don't know that off the top of my head. I can look it up real quick if you guys want to keep discussing the application. I can look it up real quick for you.
Okay.
Yeah, so sorry that I'll just continue on. Unfortunately, putting them between the building and the garage is meant to be a breezeway or a walkway, so that people can get up and around the building in a safe manner. Putting them in between there, could we look at putting them inside the building somehow? Perhaps we'd have to work with the planners and everybody to rework that. The tightness, yeah, I think that that space under the garage is going to serve as increased parking, or it's not going to take away from the parking or maneuverability. We have thought about even expanding the bottom of the driveway to be able to. There's a tree currently, just a root, like the roots of a tree, to be able to, make a tighter turn. But, I don't think it diminishes the maneuverability. The amount of cars that can park down there, and you can back into the garage and pull up. So, I understand their concerns, but I don't think it diminishes it.
I'm not quite sure I understand the variance that affects us. Which one is it? Because there's 3 variances that you're applying for. Looking at the garage from the driveway, is it the left corner that is now going to be 12 feet instead of 25 feet away from the lot line?
Yeah.
Just can't visualize right at this moment which variance it is that affects us. So maybe somebody can enlighten us about that.
Okay, first of all, Jeff, do you got the answer to the first question on the staircase in the front?
I do, and thank you through you, Chair. So what the bylaw says, and it's section 3.7B of our zoning bylaw, it says stairways that are attached to a structure and are not enclosed. So as long as the stairway is not enclosed, it can extend into a minimum setback area, just not the side lot line setback.
Okay.
So does that mean that it could be on the lake side of the building?
Correct.
And I know that Chris has concerns about it being on the side closest to their cottage
Yeah, I
or their
get
home. But it could be there if they were so inclined?
Yes, the bylaw permits stairways that are attached to a building to
Okay.
extend into the setback.
Alrighty.
Okay.
So can I just get back to the snow plowing for a second?
Yes. Yep,
So
go ahead, John.
the pictures that are attached to the agenda show the concern and the issue that we have. And I thought it was addressed, but I guess it wasn't. I guess Rodco or whoever did the plowing this year didn't understand it. It was exceedingly difficult this winter and the previous winter when I was able to get up there to check to get into the cottage. And I just want to have some sort of assurance that problem will cease when and if this garage, or when this garage goes through. Because if you look at those pictures, you see the massive snow pile that prevented us from using either staircase. We also weren't able to access the garage because of the buildup of snow. And where the proposed garage is going to be, there was a big amount of snow there. So I question, and I would like to know and to understand, where is all of this snow going to go? There's a lot of snow. I know it was an atypical winter in terms of amount of snowfall, but there was a lot of snow even just at the bottom of the properties, never mind what was at the top. So what is going to be done? What assurances is there going to be that with fewer people, with fewer places to push the snow with the garage, I'm projecting that it's going to be almost impossible to use my stairs in my garage next winter. But I don't know.
So I think I commented on that when we talked to Rodco. We've talked, as you know, that they push the snow straight down the driveway. They come in, they go
Right.
straight shot. It's a one lane. What I've talked about with them is coming in and pushing straight through. There's area at the top there that when they come down, instead of making that turn, they'd be able to push the snow into kind of that top area that's well up on the property. And then coming in and where our generator is, kind of pushing in behind that, we've flattened that area and widened it quite a bit. We had our landscaping done last year. So there's a much larger area there now for them to push all that snow that is, 60% of the length of the driveway, and whatever 65% of the length of the driveway. And then, I think that what I'll talk to them about is not pulling snow away from our front door and try to minimize. We want to be able to go up there and use it as well. If there's just a huge pile at the bottom of the hill, we won't be able to get up. That's just a reality. So, it's highly, highly in our interest as well to come up with an eloquent solution that satisfies, all these concerns. And we don't want to get stuck up there, at the bottom of that hill. like anybody else would.
Right,
we're-
yeah, so,
Good portion
so
of
I
it.
understand that, but I'm still concerned, Chris, with the snow that's at the bottom, closest to our place and your garage and your place. You have to be able to plow that section where you currently park. You've got it. Even if you choose not to park there anymore, you're still gonna need to plow that in order to access your door. So where is that snow gonna go? But then at the foot of your new garage and ours, where is that snow gonna go?
I mean, it's got to get pushed.
Yeah, but pushed where?
Actually,
And
guys,
that's-
I'm just
and that's
gonna,
the
I was gonna
question
put you
that-
on hold here just for a sec. I think we had a
That's fine.
comment from our committee here that,
Okay.
jump in just for a sec.
Yes, thank you. So I'm understanding here that this is obviously a shared driveway. Is that correct?
Yes.
Correct.
So, with the comment about us doing a site visit, I think that might, help this situation and give you a chance to maybe talk to Rodco or, we do have a person on our committee that's quite familiar with snow removal. So maybe we could, discuss that before and, during a site visit. And I'm sure there's got to be an option there somehow.
Okay, for the sake of moving things along here, I think what I'm hearing is I think we're gonna get a motion to defer, I think. So maybe you guys could, if you're you're both up this weekend, whatever, you can maybe look at it yourselves and then we can make some sort of site visit and come out, have a look. Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, and if I may, through you, Chair, perhaps we could set a tentative date right now for a site inspection, just so that everybody in attendance
Absolutely.
knows that date. The next committee meeting is Thursday,
Just
June
clarification.
11th. So maybe the days leading up to that.
Yeah.
Yep, okay. So did everybody hear that? We'd maybe try and set a date for a meeting now so that we can carry on with this for the next month.
Great.
So can I put in another comment, Barry?
Sure, go ahead, just quick.
So from our perspective, a deferral isn't necessary. If Chris is agreeing to leave the two pine trees that they planted at their expense a number of years ago, if those are left, and if they will relocate the stairway from the side that faces us and put it somewhere else, and not necessarily inside, I wouldn't be thrilled about that, but put it on one of the other sides, you know what, then green light this as far as we're concerned.
Okay,
We're not too, I'm starting to feel really uneasy here. It was not
Okay.
our intent.
I don't want to make you feel like that, but sure. I'm glad you've come up with that. Now, I'm not sure our committee is ready to actually grant anything, so we'll go back to the committee, see if anybody wants to put a motion forward here.
Well, there we go. So-
Yeah, so, thank you for those, agreements and comments, but, as planning goes forward, you may not be the owner of that cottage for the next, so we have to look at it as a planning issue as who may be the next owner. So, I think, I'd feel more comfortable having a site visit. And then, we could come up with to feel comfortable with this application and talk to both of you.
And you wouldn't necessarily have to attend then if you're happy with everything, and you don't have to attend that if you don't wish to.
And we'll obviously move the stairs. I don't think that's a big deal. So we can send the Hortons the updated plan as well once we get, a drawing done up.
Okay.
So can we green light this?
Well, they want to do a.
We
have
can't, well, we're gonna get a motion here. Adam's gonna.
Okay.
Just a quick comment, if it is deferred for a site visit, that would also give staff time to review this and maybe come up with a few more conditions about moving the stairs. Because right now if
Right.
it was granted that interior side lot line setback, the stairs are permitted in that
Yeah.
location. So we would have to add a few more conditions, and also with leaving those two trees. So that would give us time to draft up a few more conditions and present it at the next meeting.
Right. Okay, so both parties understand that, what he just said there?
Yep,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah,
we
okay.
understand and we agree with it.
Okay,
Is it possible for me to be at this site meeting?
absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
So will you let Chris and I know when it is? And I don't know
Yep,
about
we're
Chris's
gonna try and pick
availability,
a
but-
date. We're gonna try and pick a date here right now, actually.
Okay.
We can? Jeff?
Yeah, and I know nobody has their calendars in front of them, so this is difficult, but maybe we could set a tentative date for Tuesday, June 9th, which is 2 days before the Committee of Adjustment meeting. And that would give, and then if it doesn't work with anybody, feel free to reach out to staff and once everybody's had a chance to look at their
Okay.
calendars.
Committee members, is June 9th good? Chris?
June 9th,
Yep, that's fine.
say 11 a.m.
Does that work for you guys?
Yep,
Okay.
I think so.
Chris?
Yeah,
I think so.
Yeah, the Hortons will
Okay.
be there. Yeah.
well, one will be there.
Awesome. Yep. Okay. So I'm gonna.
And then we'll be able to get a better understanding of exactly the position of this,
Yes.
of this garage.
Yep.
In terms of the bylaws and the
Yep.
amendments that want to be done.
Okay, maybe it'd be
Okay.
helpful, Chris, if you had some corner stakes or something there. for
Yeah.
the Building site? Is that possible?
Yep. Yeah, I
Okay.
think we can figure that out.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna, sorry,
So I'll make a motion that we defer the application for a site meeting on June the 9th.
okay, moved by Jerry Walker, seconded by Don Popple. Okay, be it resolved that the committee decision with respect to file number D13 MV 2026-003 be recorded as follows. A variance to section 31EV to permit a private cabin to have a minimal interior side lot line setback of 0.95 meters as opposed to the required minimal of 4.5 meters be deferred. All in favor? Carried. A variance to section 3.1 to permit a two-story accessory building to have a minimal interior sideline setback of 0.95 meters as opposed to required minimal of 14.7. I not just read this? No, that's different. One, okay. Be deferred. All in favor? A variance of section 3.3
They can't. see.
0C to permit a two-story private cabin / private garage to have a minimal street setback from the edge of the traveled portion of right-of-way of 4.2 meters, 14 feet, as opposed to the required minimal of 7.5 meters or 25 feet. Be deferred. All in favor? Passed. Okay. We're through this. See you guys all on the 9th, was it? At 11? Okay,
Thanks, guys.
thank you.
Don's got to go.
Okay, yep. We're kicking Dawn out. That's the first time in 50 years or so. I think maybe that's.
Take care, Donald.
Don't go too far. We won't get you back for now.
And if I may, Chair, just through you, just to explain to the people in attendance why one committee member is leaving is the Planning Act requires all members to hear all information related to a matter. And because he was not at the site inspection or the previous meetings, he's not privy to make a decision on these next two cases. So he's been asked to leave.
Okay. All right, our second application is for the lands of Jacobowski. Holy, I'm proud of that. This is a variance request to permit a two-story private cabin in front yard with a minimal water setback. To permit a two-story private cabin in the front yard and within the minimal water setback, as well as an oversized attached deck. You guys are, you're here as well. Okay. Yep.
Jessica, can you hear us?
I can, and everybody can hear me?
Yep,
Perfect.
we're good to go. Okay. You guys want to start again or? Explain, okay? We can likely jump because we've already been through all this, so we can jump to the comments from the members of the committee.
Yeah, if I may go first, Chair.
Absolutely.
And I've put my words down in writing so I can make things very clear to you because I know that I want to make my thoughts clear and I know this is an emotional situation for you. So in 2002, the previous owner was instructed to convert the bunkie to storage space as a condition of the building permit being issued for the new cottage. Unfortunately, this did not happen and you were not aware of this condition when you purchased the property. You are now asking this committee to ignore the past condition as set out in 2002. I have been on this committee for almost 3 years, and many times we have enforced similar conditions on the property owner. To allow you to maintain the building for the purpose of sleeping would be an injustice to past decisions made on the applicants. I sympathize with you, but my decision is that the building must be converted to storage only. The previous property owner is solely responsible for this issue and any challenges it is presenting you. And those are that's my opinion on this.
Thank you, Chris. Jerry, you got anything to?
I'm already
Add to
on
it?
here. Well, Chris well said, and I gotta unfortunately agree with you. The fact that the building is being allowed to stay, we are allowing that, but the use has to be left or be converted back to a storage building instead of a private cabin. So that still allows you to have that building and everything there.
Okay, thank you, Jerry. Adam, you want to jump in?
So through you, Chair, no more comments or no comments have been received since the last meeting on April 9th. I guess, would you like me to go through the conditions again or because how is the committee?
We likely don't need to go through the condition unless we have to, Jeff, or not.
It might not be a bad idea, just in case the applicants or their agent have some comments on
Okay.
potential conditions. And I know just attending the site that staff had a chance to look at the one structure, which based on our
Right.
review, does not appear to be a building, and
Okay,
therefore we would not include that in the it's included in the proposed conditions right now.
yeah.
That
we
it
would
be
take
removed
it.
or brought in compliance, but staff would recommend that be removed from conditions. At
Okay,
least.
so what I'm gonna, go ahead, Jerry.
Just a question for Jeff or Adam. So the way the variances are written, if the wording is changed from private cabin to storage facility, can we do that at this point, or do we just deny all the applications the way they're presented? If you follow.
Yeah, there's a couple questions there and through your chair. So we can't change the variances requested. We would have to circulate. Having said that, the municipal policies have changed a little bit since this application started. Sheds are now permitted within the water setback, subject to certain requirements. In addition, there is a history with regards to the location of this shed, so I don't know if the committee needs to make a decision on that. Anyways, the committee can't make a decision with regards to a shed today because it's not before you. But what I would encourage the committee to do is there are, I believe, 4 or 5 variances before you today, and you should look at them each individually. I know the staff report makes some recommendations with regards to the water setback mostly, which is where we have our concerns. But there are 4 other variances that the committee needs to address, specifically whether the private cabin can still be 2 stories as opposed to 1. I think it's the gross floor area of the attached deck. Sorry, and a cabin within the front yard. Anyways, there's 5 variances. Look at them each individually because you'll have to make decisions on them all.
Okay, so let's go through the conditions then, Adam, if you don't
Yep.
mind, please.
Through you, Chair. So should the committee decide to grant the requested variances, the following conditions would be appropriate. These variances apply to a private cabin and attached deck as shown generally on the property sketch dated January 9th, 2026 and attached to the decision. Condition number 2, the County of Haliburton Shoreline Tree Preservation Bylaw 3505 applies. Condition number 3, during construction, proper site preparation and construction methods are to be used to prevent sedimentation of the adjacent lake. Condition number 4, if the committee approves the variance to the minimum water setback, prior to occupancy of the private cabin, the applicants must submit confirmation from an Ontario Land Surveyor that the private cabin meets the minimum water setback as granted by the committee. Condition number 5, prior to June 1st, 2026, the applicant shall remove the storage shed, and originally was 2 wood sheds. Staff recommend that it be, say, 1 wood shed, or bring them into compliance with the zoning bylaw. Condition number 6, prior to June 1st, 2026, the applicant shall apply for a building permit for the private cabin to the satisfaction of the municipality. Condition number 7, prior to June 1st, 2026, the applicant shall apply for a septic review to ensure the existing on-site sewage facilities have sufficient capacity to accommodate the private cabin to the satisfaction of the municipality. Condition number 8, prior to June 1st, 2026, the applicant shall apply for a building permit for the attached deck to the satisfaction of the municipality. Condition number 9, if the committee approves the variance to the minimum water setback, the gross floor area and structure height of the private cabin shall not be increased. Condition number 10, if the committee approves the variance to the minimum water setback to implement the recommendations of the environmental impact study, the owner shall enter into a development agreement as per section 45, 9.1 of the Planning Act.
Thank you.
Am I able to ask a question to the chair?
Yes.
Committee. I want to understand the committee's concerns as it relates to, I guess, permitting the variances as they have been requested. As on site visit 2 days ago, it was clear that that was the use of the structure and that there was no development of the site that was additionally proposed, as in no renovation required to either of the structures, etc. And so I just kind of want to understand where the committee's concerns are as it relates to repurposing an existing structure for what it was used for originally. Because in this case, in order to use this structure for storage, they will need to renovate the interior in order to rip out basically everything to be insured. The insurance will not allow the structure to exist as it is right now. They will require alteration to the interior. And so I guess my concern is, and my question is, as we understand that the site is very heavily vegetated, and that there is that this structure is in close proximity to the shoreline, as discussing barging, the necessary materials out, I guess I'm just trying to understand the committee's position in what the impacts from this will be, and why they don't believe that this, I guess, can be supported as it is an existing structure that requires no additional development.
Okay, well, I think I'm going to call on Jeff.
Yeah, well, I can't speak for the committee. All I can do is speak to the staff report. And maybe even the after a site visit, some of those recommendations would change slightly. Because after visiting the site, I think some of the tests can be satisfied, whether it's minor in nature, maybe, and definitely the desirability. But the one thing staff really struggle with is, again, the official plan test. And it's been a long history here at the municipality with regards to natural shorelines, and the language in the official plan says that, and I should back up, this policy's changed recently during this process, but it's always said that minimum water setback shall be strictly adhered to, and the municipality really didn't want any structures within that setback. Now council's opened the door slightly to allow sheds and gazebos within that setback. We discussed that process for 2 years, but council did not want to allow private cabins within that water setback. In that language, it still says it should be strictly adhered to for all other buildings. So that's where I struggle, but I definitely can't answer it for the committee.
Okay,
Through the chair, I just want to clarify, but in understanding the placement of structures, but there's no consideration or I guess grace given to existing structures and putting and I understand that development relates to uses as well as structures, but in this case, I believe that we should be looking at development as a change in use, and the change in use does not require any development as it relates to disturbing the site. And I guess that's the concern is that if the goal is to maintain the shoreline and to maintain the vegetation that exists by requesting that this structure go back to storage, that actually would be damaging more of the shoreline and the vegetation that exists because of the fact that it is so heavily treed. And there's no way that the property owner would be able to bring any materials out of the site via vehicle. It would all need to be barged out. And so I would suggest, and I believe we could get an opinion from the biologist who prepared the EIS, who was supportive of maintaining the structure and the balance. In fact, they were supportive of maintaining all of the structures in the shoreline, as removal would be more detrimental than it would be to maintain. So I guess where staff and the OP say one thing, I guess we've gotten an opinion from a biologist that says the opposite, and that it should really stay as it is. And so I guess I'm confused where I guess the other opinion is, because we have a biologist who says that really what is there should stay as right, and any removal would cause more damage. So that's just my question.
okay. I'm gonna go back to the committee again. I know they both have some comments here. Go ahead, Jerry.
So I think, I know my feeling after visiting. The biggest issue that we have is the word cabin. And by removing the beds, it can be a storage facility.
So
that can,
and if what I'm hearing from you then is there's insurance issues if the beds were removed? Is that what you were referring to there?
So through the chair, the property was purchased with the idea that there was a primary structure and an accessory cabin. If that's how the property owners purchased the property 4 years ago, and now that's how it's been insured since that time. And so if they were to go through the process of upgrading the septic, which is what they're doing, and reinsuring the property, they would need to basically strip that cabin down to the bones in order to not have anything in there related to residential, not sleeping, basically. And I would turn to the property owner. She can provide any additional details, but that's in short what would need to happen. They couldn't just leave the structure as it is right now and just say it's for storage. There would be work necessary to that building in order to bring it to a condition to use it as storage in order to be insured.
Okay, I'm gonna let Chris.
Yeah,
Jump in here.
I'm confused over that. I don't know what that means. I'm not concerned about the shoreline and the trees and having to plant anything. What's there is find out how to have any issues with that, because there's nothing's going to be tore up or moved with taking some beds out of the storage. So I'm confused by this whole conversation about that.
Okay, so now you guys have shown up, so I want to give you a chance to speak. Go ahead.
Yeah, so Jess is right. So we talked to insurance, they've come on the property. If the cabin needs to be converted to storage, they will be bringing in a barge and removing everything from there, stripped to the bones. Like everything needs to be removed. It's insulated, right? Like all the siding, the upstairs, it will all be removed to be brought back to a storage, which that's never has been its use. Yeah, and I can store whatever I want. Like I'm storing beds in it. What is there a rule on what I can and cannot store in there? I could store 12 beds. I could be storing couches. I could be storing chemicals, lawnmowers. I mean, it's up to me what I'm going to put in that storage. But if that insurance company, when they come, they've already been to my property, it's a lot of money. They'll be bringing a barge in and they will stripping the inside of that cabin out. It's not just about removing a couple beds and putting up to the side, which was originally actually suggested way back when, but it's not about that. And where am I going to put those beds off that property? I'm going to haul them up 150 stairs. I will need to bring you know, something in on the water to remove that. And the insurance company said it does needs to be stripped down. In fact, the city came, actually, I have it on a phone call from a Justin. The city said, yes, it would have to be stripped down as well. They confirmed early days. They confirmed that it would, everything on the interior of that cabin would need to be removed.
Okay, go ahead, Chris.
And why does, I'm just curious, I'm sorry, I'm just asking the question, why does it have to be removed? Why, again, that doesn't make any sense to me, why you've got.
Through the chair, I believe it's the classification of the building. And so in some cases, for example, when it's classified as an agricultural barn, you wouldn't be able to like convert an existing residential dwelling to be used as agricultural storage because there are components that need to be like it can't be insured for sorry, not insured. It can't be insulated, for example, and be used as agricultural storage. There are components of the Ontario Building Code. And in order to be considered residential storage, it can't go above and beyond basically and be, you know, fully insulated and etc. They want ultimately insurance will, if something happens to the structure, they need to replace it. They don't want to replace the structure being, you know, fully built to a cabin level. They want it to be to a residential, a storage building. So keeping it as it is right now, they wouldn't basically meet what the building is worth. They'd only be insured up to the storage limit. So they would need to take it down too.
Okay, Jeff, you got any comments on that? It's like, I don't think, I never run into it in my time here, but it's not that long, so.
Yeah, through you, Chair, the planning department's not normally involved in bylaw enforcement matters when there's conversions of say private cabins back to sheds. But I have had discussions with the chief building official, and there are certain requirements as mentioned by the applicant that certain furnishings do need to be removed, like such as flooring and stuff. There's no need for hardwood flooring in a shed and stuff like that. So
Yeah. So
they do require certain furnishings to be removed. It wouldn't just solely be removal of the beds. I'm just not certain what else would need to be removed.
So you're right, the floors, the walls, the lighting, everything. Like a shed, insulation, down
And
to the
through-
bones, to the shell. Everything will be pulled out of there. Will have to be pulled out, not just the beds. It's not just about that, right? So we can be storage with beds in it, we're good. But it's the classification that you're asking me to do is to bring it back to a storage, which it never was. It's never been that way. And that's not what I bought on this property. So they will be coming in and ripping everything out.
Through the chair, I also just wanted to bring that piece up, not more so about insurance, but more so with the impact as far as the environment is concerned, and the fact that the biologist did also agree that any sort of development to remove would be more impactful than just maintaining it as it is. So that's the piece of insurance. The other piece of enforcement and bylaw, not so much, but I just want to address the fact that there will be impacts of returning the structure back to what it was permitted in 2002, but hasn't been used that way in a number of years. So there will be a lot of work that would be required to bring it back to a storage capacity.
Okay, well, I'm wondering if the committee here, I mean, this is a little bit more in depth than we thought out here, anticipated. So I'm wondering if maybe we should defer this again on, no? Okay. If,
But I cannot, this is getting serious.
okay,
It's costing
Well,
me a lot.
right, I
can't
get,
defer this again. I'm sorry, with all due
Okay,
respect, this
okay.
has been horrific. This is
But-
like a nightmare business. of
I
mine. I
totally
am
get that.
regretful of even coming here, right? Buying this property. And now you want to defer it again? You've had the site visit, please, with all due respect. This is something that I invested in,
Yep.
all my money, and I spent thousands of dollars doing this with this committee.
Totally
You just
understand.
wanna keep deferring?
no, just
Have to
calm
sit
down, please. Calm down. Thank you. You're asking us to make a decision that we don't fully understand right now. There's some bylaw issues in that we're not aware of. So you're asking us to make a decision that we likely can't do, not knowing the total facts. I feel for you. I understand it, but you got to put yourself in our position too.
Can I, through the chair, can I just ask another question to staff? Is it possible, now that there have been 2 rounds of notices that have gone out to neighbors, have you gotten any comments or concerns related to the use, continued use of the structure? Have the neighbors provided any concerns about any like environmental concerns as well as usage of the building concerns, previous understanding that this structure has been used as a cabin for a number of years? Have they provided any sort of concerns or past historical issues? Has bylaw had any enforcement issues with the structure? I guess I want to look at, now that this has been owned and used this way for 4 years and only was captured by enforcement as something that needs to be captured through the bylaw, I just want to see if there's any historical evidence that this structure, property, etc., has been used in contradiction of how they should be.
Adam?
So through you, Chair, as mentioned earlier in the meeting, no comments were received since the April 9th, 2026 meeting.
Okay.
I would suggest then through the chair that there are no concerns from neighbors and they've had ample opportunity to provide their comments on the continued use of the structure. And based on how the committee saw the site 2 days ago, I believe that there are no other locations for this to go. Staff are supportive of the private cabin on the site. It's just not in the location, but ultimately there are no other location for this structure to go on the site without becoming a detrimental environmental factor that would impact neighboring properties. If they are within their zone allowed to have this structure, this is the only location that this structure would be able to go. And so I would urge committee that although there are a number of variances that are requested, it is to permit an existing situation that has been in that location for a number of years. And by allowing it to continue, I do not think that the neighbors will notice any difference in day-to-day usage. And as we've understood from the last meeting, the property owner is only at the site in the summer. And so the winter, it is a seasonal residence. And so I would be happily answer any of the questions the committee has, but I would absolutely respectfully urge an approval for this because I think that this is an appropriate and it meets the 4 tests.
Got any comments on that, Jeff?
I think the one thing I can offer, and I tend to agree with the applicants here, is it's best, I don't see why we need to defer it.
Okay.
If there's certain questions that the committee has or certain things that you don't understand, staff are certainly here to try and answer those questions and provide you that information. So yeah, if you have any questions.
Okay, in light of all that, you guys got any
Again, I
change of heart?
don't have any concerns about what the neighbors think or anything about that. What I read to you as my first statement was in 2002, the previous owner was instructed to convert the bunkie to storage space as a condition of the building permit issued for the new cottage. This did not happen. Okay, unfortunately, it's an unfortunate, but we're the ones that are, the pressure is on us to try to change that. And I'm sorry, we have to follow the rules and the regulations and meeting 4 tests, and we got strictly adhered to policies. And we've told people that in the past that they can't do it. But now you're asking, well, please let us do it because we didn't know, and the neighbors don't care. We have to follow rules and regulations.
Sure, I don't believe that this decision should be made based on precedent or previous precedent that's been set. Every situation should be looked at on a case-by-case basis, and previous decisions made by this committee should not be determining how this application is to be reviewed. And I don't believe it's appropriate to be looking at previous committee decisions in evaluating this application. I believe that's precedent setting and going off of previous precedent that's been set by other applications. And this is a very site-specific scenario for a structure that's existed on the site for 80 years. And I don't believe that other instances where structures were built without building permits, this is a legal non-complying structure. This wasn't an illegal structure. I just urge that the property owners are doing what they can. The second that they were informed that this wasn't done legally, they did everything that they could to rectify the situation. And I believe that they are being, if this is denied, it's based off of something that should have been fought by the municipality in 2002, 2003, 2004. And the fact that it wasn't, and this property still was sold 4 years ago with the idea that this was a private cabin, that's something that the property owners could never have seen coming. And now they've paid, in addition to the application fees deferring the application, and as well as a multi-$1,000 EIS at the request of staff. They've done everything that they can to rectify the situation. I don't really know in this case what else they could have done in order to get support from the committee. The biologist has supported it. They have planning support from planners. Like I'm
Okay.
trying to rectify a situation from previous owner.
Okay, I think we've been all through that. I'm gonna, Jeff, go ahead.
Yeah, and if I could just touch on a few things. So like municipal records, like our assessment records suggest that this is a boathouse. So this is what the municipality's knowledge was. And as I mentioned before, we've had long-standing policy since 1977 with regards to structures in the setback, specifically that no buildings would be allowed within the setback. There has been lots of discussion today. And this discussion with regards to the environmental study and the discussion of neighbors, topography, everything like that, it really does hammer home two tests, the desirability test and the minor test. But the official plan is still very clear in staff's mind that that setback is to be strictly adhered to. Private cabins do have additional impacts compared to storage sheds. And council made that quite clear in their recent policy amendment, that they still don't want private cabins in the setbacks because of these additional impacts. So I agree with a lot of the comments and I do sympathize because of the property, but it doesn't satisfy the official plan test in staff's mind. And that's where I'm sorry, it's hard for me to get by that one.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna give you you guys get one last crack here.
With respect, I think you're referring to adhering to policy, but you're commenting on a condition inside a building permit that may not be in line with policy. I would like to request that that the council review why that condition was placed and if that condition was in line with policy in regards to a boathouse. There's no documentation that was released that officially says it was a boathouse. It was a question on a copy of a old building permit on a notes asking if this was a boathouse. So I think there is a lot of discrepancies, a lot of questions. There is, I'm sure, documentation that is still not present to everybody, but you're commenting on a condition of a permit. It may not be in line with policy. I just want to request that.
Okay. Well, we can note that, I guess, Jeff.
Yeah, and I can only speculate because I wasn't here in 2002, but my guess is, as it's been discussed, is that original private cabin was the original seasonal dwelling or use for this property. And when they applied for another dwelling on the property, the policies say you can't have two dwellings on a property, which is why they said you needed to convert that one to storage. Okay. I'm just speculating, but that's my guess.
Okay. Jerry?
My only final comment, I guess, is the part of the 2002 for the building permit, it was brought up, and that condition was on file with that property, I take it. So it could have been caught at real estate changing, should have been picked up by legals. So that still stands outstanding. So in my mind, it was there and has been there since 2002. So all we're asking, or we're saying, we're okay with the building being there, the deck being there, remove the wood shed or the shed, and the wording becomes a storage shed instead of a cabin. I think that's in a nutshell is what we're saying.
Okay, so I think we'll go to the let's get a.
Committee, can I just say one thing through the chair?
This is the last thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to say, if that was the case and this was the storage shed, we would not need to be here at the Committee of Adjustment. If we were just requesting the variances for the storage shed, we wouldn't have needed to, because ultimately it was legal existing as of right. So I just want to suggest that the application requested the sleeping cabin. Storage shed was apparently permitted. So I just, the variances aren't, the structure will continue to exist. That's all I really want to say is just that the storage shed can exist as of right. These variances rule has to permit the sleeping cabin, and if that's not the case, then the variances aren't needed because everything is legal and complying as of now. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff?
Yeah, and staff would agree that that is what the request is. It's the committee's being asked whether they would permit a private cabin within the water setback, and then that's where staff are having their concerns. But yeah, I agree with that.
So, okay, where do we, so do we want to run through then every variance right now then? Is that our best?
Yeah, the committee should run through every variance and make a decision on each individual one. I know the conditions were read, although they are read quickly and sometimes hard to understand when there's so many.
Yeah.
The committee might want to look at the conditions too and see if they're satisfied with all the conditions that are just being proposed.
So I think, well, my feeling is the word private cabin will not be acceptable. Period.
Okay,
We're not going to allow, I'm not going to.
okay,
And I agree.
okay. Well, I'm gonna go through the variances right now then. And we'll go. Okay, so be it resolved, the committee decision with respect to filed D13 MV 2025-008 be recorded as follows. A variance to section 3.1 EI to permit a private cabin to be located within the front yard abutting a shoreline is denied. All in favor? Okay. B, a variance to section 3.1 EII to permit a private cabin to be located on 2 stories as opposed to the requirement of being located entirely on 1 story is this B, yes. Jeff, are we all out? Well, that's the wording's not right there, is it?
Yeah, so what it says is to permit a private cabin to be located on 2 stories as opposed to the requirement.
And
of
we're not
being
permitting
located
a
only on 1
private
story.
cabin.
So this is just making the decision on 2 stories versus 1. So if they wanted to move that or construct the private cabin somewhere where it complied with the water setback, they could be allowed 2 stories versus 1. It's hard to make a decision on that, given that you've already denied the location of the private cabin within the water setback. I guess you could ask the applicants, excuse me, or the agent if they intended to move or reconstruct a private cabin somewhere within that complied with the water setback, then you could entertain that.
Where do you get this private cabin? It's a 2-story accessory building.
No,
No,
it says private
no, it's a
cabin.
private cabin. It says private cabin.
You might be looking at the wrong
One
one.
B, yeah.
Which one? Oh, that you're on C.
No,
Nope.
no.
Page 33. Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. Okay. No problem.
Okay, so did you guys hear Jeff's comments there? Do you want to jump in there with any of that?
I don't think we can make that decision at this point. We would have to talk to contractors and insurance, legal.
So I guess, Jeff, if we deny this, they can always come back to request.
The chair will be evaluating our rights to appeal through the OLT. So we can correspond with planning staff once we have made our decision on that.
Okay, so we're gonna deny that one then. All in favor? Okay, C, a variance to section 3.1 EII IV to permit the maximum total ground floor area of open decks, patios, and balconies attached or within 2 meters of a private cabin to be 19 square meters, 204.5 square feet, as opposed to the permitted maximum ground floor area of 15 square meters, 161.4 square feet.
I'm okay, I grant, I'm okay to grant that. I'm okay with that.
Granted, all in favor? Thank you. D, a variance to section 3.1 F III to permit the maximum total ground floor area of open decks, patios, and balconies attached or within 2 meters of a 2-story accessory building to be 19 square meters, 204.5 square feet, as opposed to the permitted maximum ground floor area of 15 square meters, 161.4 square feet. Granted?
Grant.
All in favor? E, a variance to section 5.2 to permit a private cabin to have a minimal water setback of 4.27 meters, 14 feet, as opposed to the required minimal of 20 meters, 66 feet, is denied.
Denied.
All in favor? Okay. Thank you. It's been an emotional day. Morning or maybe good afternoon by now. I'm not sure. Third application for lands of Smith Hanson. This is a variance request to permit a shed within the minimal water setback. Do you want to jump in now?
Yeah, thank you. I'm the owner, 1561 Kenaway Road. Thank you for the opportunity to return today. So at the April meeting, I indicated that I would obtain a survey to confirm the setback distance of the shed I'm seeking a variance for. And so I'm back here as promised with those results. So the materials that have been circulated for the hearing reflect my original estimate of approximately 17 meters from the shoreline. So the land survey I commissioned has now confirmed that the corner of the building setback is at 16.6 meters. So in order for the variance to proceed, so Adam has advised me, that my circulated materials are no longer correct, that I would need to, amend the application and submit a formal change request and return at a future hearing date. So my purpose today is simply to understand whether you'd be open to, in principle, to considering a variance based on this updated information. And if so, I would be willing to come back at a future meeting, but I'd already planned to be here today. We've already just, I'd gone through the survey. I don't want to proceed with, we've put a lot of money already into this variance application with the environmental impact study, the survey. And I don't want to go down a further rabbit hole and take up more of the committee's time if the answer is simply going to be no. But as you can see, presumably, I think you probably have the survey in front of you. It's really just the corner. The corner of the shed is kind of within the 16.6. And obviously through my preparation for this meeting today, I do understand why the 20-meter shoreline is there, the setback is there, to protect critical shoreline functions, including water quality, shoreline stability, and vegetation integrity. However, just in the County of Haliburton Shoreline Preservation Bylaw, there are some exceptions to that bylaw because not all shorelines are the same. It's not a complete square. It's not, the whole building isn't in a complete, isn't perfectly aligned to 16.6 meters. And so in essence, that bylaw reflects how shoreline protection is understood and implemented in this area. And so given that the structure is modest in scale, has no servicing and intact surrounding vegetation, mean that the environmental functions of the setback are already being met. Securing the structure through a tightly conditioned variance protects these functions going forward without introducing additional disturbance. So again, my intent here is today to understand whether the committee sees a viable approval path based on the updated survey information and the safeguards I've outlined. And if the committee is open to that, I'm prepared to submit the change request and return next month with a fully updated application.
Okay, thank you. The committee. Oh, hang on, we're gonna get a comment from Jeff first. Maybe they'll help us.
Yeah, actually, and through you, Chair, before we get started, there's just a couple things I want to bring up. So as per the survey, it's 16.6 meters as opposed to what was circulated as 17 meters. So the committee can still make a decision on 17 meters, just not 16.6 meters.
Right.
So that's the first thing I wanted to mention. The second thing was, and it came up during the last file, is while we were processing these applications, the municipalities had a drastic amendment to their official plan and zoning bylaws that now permit sheds within the water setback. So the request today is to permit a shed within the water setback, but the zoning bylaw and official plan already say a shed is permitted in the water setback, subject to certain criteria. So there's various options how to proceed. I don't know if you've had the chance to look at the criteria that council put in place. So
It's changing the size of the, so I don't want to change the size of the structure. So it's the sizes permitted up to 100 square feet.
Yeah, 10
Yes.
square meter.
Yeah, versus the 192 that the current size is.
Correct. So I just wanted to bring that up. So there is policy in place. Council can still proceed with the 17 meters as requested today. The recommended conditions that we put in place from the beginning kind of anticipated the municipal amendments. So we have recommended conditions for 10 square meters and 3.5 meters in height. And I can't remember what the other ones are, but they align with what we anticipated council to approve. So there's options for you to proceed. I just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention today that there's different ways to proceed here, depending on the size of the building and setback. Everything.
Maybe, would you guys like to hear Adam will rhyme off the conditions here first before you make any comments?
Sure. So through you, Chair, no comments have been received since the April 9th, 2026 meeting. And then should the committee decide to grant the requested variance, the following conditions would be appropriate. Condition number 1, this variance applies to a storage shed as generally shown on the property sketch dated September 9th, 2025 and attached to the decision. Condition number 2, the County of Haliburton Shoreline Tree Preservation Bylaw 3505 applies. Condition number 3, during construction, proper site preparation and construction methods are to be used to prevent sedimentation of the adjacent lake. Condition number 4, the applicant shall submit confirmation from an Ontario Land Surveyor that the shed meets the minimum water setback as granted by the committee. Condition number 5, prior to July 1st, 2026, the applicant shall remove the outhouse or bring it into compliance with the zoning bylaw. Condition number 6, prior to July 1st, 2026, the applicant shall apply for a building permit for the storage shed to the satisfaction of the municipality. Condition number 7, to implement the recommendations of the environmental impact study, the owner shall enter into a site plan agreement. Condition number 8, where it has been impaired by past activities, the shoreline vegetation buffer shall be repaired to a natural state using native vegetation. Protection of the shoreline vegetation buffer shall be addressed via site plan control. Condition number 9, the storage shed shall be limited to a maximum ground floor area of 10 square meters. Condition number 10, the storage shed shall be limited to a maximum structure height of 3.5 meters. Condition number 11, the total combined gross floor area of the storage shed, decks, and patios that are not attached to the main building shall not exceed 20 square meters. Condition number 12, the storage shed shall comply with the minimum side lot line setback for the main building. Condition number 13, the applicant shall submit confirmation from Ontario Land Surveyor, architect, or other professional to satisfy conditions 9 to 12.
Okay, so I think I'll let you finish right in there.
Yeah.
If we were to grant this, then there's some conditions in there that I don't think you're willing to
So,
accept.
yeah, so that I don't want to change the size of it.
Yep.
So I'm willing because, I think it's easiest in talking to the builders, it's easier to bring it into code. So I do have, already do have the building application submitted with the municipality. So it's easier for them to rebuild it. So I think if we want to agree to 17, I can certainly move it back to 17. Or even a little bit further. I don't know I can go the full 20 without having to impact the surrounding lands and dig. And I'm not sure what my building height is now, I'll be honest. And so 10 by 10, I would like to challenge. I don't know, can you see what my building height is? Am I already within the 3.5 meters, Adam? Sorry,
I will take a look.
Yeah.
Let me look.
so maybe that one's already met. So I just, what my intent is, my hope, is I can just keep it the same size, move it back as far as it can. I don't know that I can go as far as 20, but if you can grant 17, I can do my very best to get it as close to 20 as possible without impacting the surrounding vegetation.
Adam's just he's looking up one.
And then in regards to so I have I think condition 5 is the building permit, so I have that one already open. The removing the old outhouse, just given so all this came up as part of my short-term rental application. We're a bit too close to my rental start in 2-3 weeks. So I won't be able to remove the outhouse in time for July 1st, but I'd be fully committed to doing that in the fall.
I don't see the height labeled here on the application. It just says single story.
Okay. Sorry, so. Singles. Single
Just on
story
the
height,
application.
there's already a bylaw in there anyway that says it has to be this.
Yes, I just, during the application process, I don't think I was given the height of the existing building, and normally a single story is allowed to be 5.5
Oh.
meters high
Okay.
normally.
Oh.
So when doing our review, we didn't have any concerns with the height. That's probably why I didn't ask you for it.
Okay. So I'm probably within that. I don't know how tall this is, but is this 3.5 meter or 5.5? Like, I feel like there's plenty of room in the
There's-
shed now.
I'm sure there is. 5.5 is pretty tall.
Okay.
5.5 meters. So, yeah, I don't think you, go ahead, John.
Yeah, and I'll just clarify that 5.5 is if it complies with the water setback.
Oh,
If it
okay.
doesn't comply with the water setback, it's 3.5.
Okay,
Okay.
go ahead, Adam.
So 3.5 meters is 11.4 feet.
1.4 feet. Yeah. What do you think about that?
Yep.
She's being in it.
Okay. All right. So go ahead. Comments.
So my understanding is that this building is too large. And alls we're asking is to have the setback move from 20 to 17. That's really what you're
That's the
asking.
application.
That's
That's
the application.
before you today.
Yeah,
Yes.
the only thing in front of us today is the variance for the shed to have a minimal water setback of 17 meters versus 20 meters.
Yeah. Because the building is over 10 square meters.
I think, yeah, since the rules have changed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Correct.
And sorry, what was the building size again?
About 192, 192 square feet.
So it's double. Okay, so you're asking really relief for 3 meters.
Yes, 10 feet. Yep.
And you mentioned you're gonna try and,
I'll try to get it as far back as possible.
right, but you're not rebuilding this building.
I think
Yeah.
I have to yeah, I'm gonna have to rebuild. So right now, the existing building isn't to code. And in speaking with builders, to get it to code, they're recommending that they just rebuild it.
Okay.
So I'll rebuild it as far back as possible. But trying to preserve some of the original intent in the 4 tests, which is to not disrupt any further vegetation by
So
having to dig.
if you were to reconfigure it, because you've got the width, can you not make it longer and narrow?
Well, I mean, I'd have to rebuild.
If you got
I'd
to
have to,
build it anyway?
yeah, I'd have to resubmit my plans, I'd have to restart the application process, and I think somebody mentioned at the meeting last time that some of the rules have changed in that, if you can remind me. Like if I change the width, am I now in a different cycle where that wouldn't be allowed?
I don't think so.
Or the length, not the width?
Right. So if you were, you've got the square footage of 195 square feet,
Ish, yes.
but, and that's what you want to maintain.
Yes,
And right now, the width of the building is what,
Uh,
10 feet?
something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if you made it 8 feet by,
Longer on the other, longer.
Well, I mean, that I would have to get the drawings redone and resubmit an application. So there is
okay,
more paperwork that would be required and
right,
to get us there. I mean,
Okay.
if you can see on the survey, you can see where the 16 points, it's literally the corner. It's the shortest part of, obviously, it's the shortest part of my shoreline, that it's
Right.
like hitting the corner.
so that's a good point, that if the building was a different area on your waterfront,
Yeah.
it could comply. So
Well,
you have an
I can see about,
haphazard shoreline.
yeah, like it's a, right. Well, yeah, but I also, I do want to just remind you of the County of Halliburton Shoreline Preservation Bylaw. That does recognize that there can be some flexibility in the 20-meter setback because not all shorelines are the same. Like this isn't a square, right, or a rectangle.
Yep. Okay. Jeff?
Yeah, and I'd just like to advise, so the county of Halliburton, when they passed that shoreline preservation bylaw, our council decided not to partake in that shoreline preservation bylaw and instead passed their own site alteration bylaw. So that bylaw doesn't apply within the municipality of Dysart. I
Hmm.
just wanted to bring that to
Okay.
everybody's attention for applicable policies. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a neighboring bylaw, right? So, we're all in the same, in the same area, right? So there's, maybe slightly different treatment, but I think the intent of, recognizing the shoreline and protecting it. And the protection of the shoreline can still be met through the conditions that have been outlined in the environmental report, which
Okay.
I've committed to
Okay.
enacting.
Okay, are you guys, anybody want to make a motion here? Or are we ready to make a motion?
Now that I see the picture, you're at the shortest.
Of course.
distance there could be.
Yeah,
Yeah, the point is there.
You're gonna rebuild it,
And you're
I'm gonna rebuild it.
so you could actually.
Like maybe push it forward, push it a little bit further into the middle of the lot.
So what's the request of 17?
Yeah,
Could
Yes.
you live with 18?
yep.
I'll make a motion that we grant 18. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so
We do that?
I'm gonna refer it back to Matt or Jeff here. I'm sure we can change the wording in this.
Yes, because you circulated at 17, you can agree to something lesser, like 18, as opposed to like the
Right.
16
Right,
points
okay.
that
Yeah.
you mentioned at the beginning. So that is something the committee can agree to, yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead. We're gonna have moved by Jerry. Seconded
Second
by
by
Chris. Be it resolved that the committee decision with respect to file D13 MV 2025-025 be recorded as follows. A variance to section 5.2 to permit a shed to have a minimal water setback of 18 meters. Do you want to convert that to feet or you want to?
We can do that. We can do that.
You can do that after, okay, as opposed to the required minimal of 20 meters, 66 feet is granted. All in favor? Carried.
Yay. Okay,
I just, if I
Yep.
know the decision's already been made, but right now it's made with the conditions as recommended by staff. So that's something we might want to review.
sure.
Okay.
Because the conditions right now do talk about limited to 10 square meters,
Oh,
stuff like that. So
okay.
we might want to go through those conditions.
yes. Yep, let's do it one more time. You've got your notes already
Right,
there,
yeah.
so, okay, yep. Adam?
So through you, Chair, the first condition was this variance applies to a storage shed as generally shown on the property sketch.
Accepted.
Yep. Condition number 2, the County of Halliburton Shoreline Tree Preservation Bylaw
Yep.
3505 applies. Condition number 3, construction and proper site preparation are to be used to prevent sedimentation of the adjacent lake. Condition number 4, the applicant shall submit confirmation from an Ontario land surveyor that the shed meets the minimum water setback as granted by the committee. Condition number 5, prior to July 1st, 2026, the applicant shall remove the outhouse or bring it in compliance with.
So
Okay,
can I
hold-
check- that's the one I want to challenge. So can we change that to October 1st?
Sorry, and through your chair, my only concern with that is now that we've received the survey, we can see that that's located partially on the neighbor's property. So I would just caution
Yeah.
the committee there.
I actually, no one has lived there, I've not seen a single person to like, and I think that, I suspect that it is not even a work, like I've opened it, there's no hole in the bottom, it's just they put it there. And didn't actually convert it to a working outhouse. I'm 100% willing, I don't like it, I don't want anyone using it. I do want to get rid of it, I just don't know that I have the means and the time to do it in the next 3 weeks before my life is done.
Yeah, are your rentals straight through then?
Well,
Just a quick recommendation. When do you plan on building the new shed? 'Cause I was gonna say, would you like us to change that to prior to the pouring of footings?
So,
Part of the construction of.
Prior to the,
so do you
Go
have
ahead,
your
Jeff.
permit?
well, the permit was waiting on the variance.
Right,
okay, Jeff?
prior to construction.
And I'm just,
Beginning.
I've got a million ideas going through my head, and my only concern with that is, and I believe that you have full intention of moving ahead with reconstructing this, but if they didn't reconstruct it for another 3 or 4 years, then that condition delays 3 or 4 years. So a date might be a better option in this case, if the committee wants to grant a little bit of an extension, that's up to the committee, but I maybe just rely on a date in this instance.
Have
just in case
you-
something else doesn't go forward.
Okay, thank you. Have you got, when's your last rental?
It's to, Liberty, Liberty.
Let's go, if I may put a date in there, the 15th of September, is that,
Yeah,
yes? That okay with you guys?
Yep.
Okay,
So
okay,
the-
next condition.
Yep, condition number 6, prior to July 1st, 2026, the applicant shall apply for a building permit for the storage shed to the satisfaction of the municipality. Sounds like you've already satisfied that condition. And then condition number 7, to implement the recommendations of the environmental impact study, the owner shall enter into a site plan agreement.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so a site plan agreement, it's an application process under the Planning Act, and it's not another application with the municipality. But basically, what it will do is tie development to a site plan. So this is a condition of council's new policies for allowing structures in the setback is. So it's something where you will have a site plan and you will be basically tied to that. It's something where we'll also review shoreline vegetation and make sure that's included on the plan. But looking at this property, it looks like there's lots of shoreline vegetation, but yeah, and it's an agreement that the applicant gets into with the municipality saying, I agree to develop this property as per this site
Sure.
plan.
Yeah, can somebody, as part of the decision results, can I have the link to that where I make that?
Yeah, we can
application?
share that.
Okay.
with you for sure.
Okay, carry
Yep,
on.
good.
And condition number 8, where it has been impaired by past activities, the shoreline vegetation buffer shall be repaired to a natural state
Yep.
using native vegetation.
I'm good.
Okay. Condition number 9, the storage shed shall be limited to a maximum ground floor area of 10 square meters.
No, that's.
So
where
that's the
we're gonna-
one, yeah.
So we kind of more or less have agreed to allow the same size that she has now.
Perfect.
So we'll have to change that condition then.
9 and 10.
How would the committee like to change it or alter that condition? Because right now it says it's restricted to 10 square meters, which I don't believe.
So
is-
as per my building application? Or as per the current drawings, maybe, as is drawn?
How big, and the current drawings are exactly the same
Yeah.
size it is now.
Yeah,
Okay.
so there's as is and future state drawings, which the future state only bring it into code. But it's the exact same building, but in code. So if we could, if the condition could be updated to based on the current size that's already been submitted to the municipality. Or the as is drawings, no larger than the as is application.
Or could we just say the size that it is now? Because we haven't actually, have we seen these drawings? We haven't seen the drawings, right? Go ahead,
I
Jeff.
don't
The
think I
committee
brought
can
them.
word it that way and we can craft something up though, but that the new building can't be any, the
Larger,
gross floor area can't be any
Perfect.
bigger than the existing building.
Okay.
Yeah.
okay,
Great.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, and then condition number 10, the storage shed shall be limited to a maximum structure height of 3.5 meters.
So the same challenge as number 9, just the existing.
Three and a
I
half
think
meters.
it's probably what I have. I presume.
Probably is, but that clarifies it, 3.5 meters, it can't go above that, which is, that's a
Okay.
bylaw, right? So,
Yeah, and through your chair, yeah, those are the new policies at 3.5 meters, as you mentioned, at 11.5 feet. So yeah, it's up to the committee right now, but staff certainly recommend that because of the new policies.
I think, yep,
Um,
okay, so we'll leave that as
Okay.
3.5, yep.
And then the total combined gross floor area of the storage shed, decks and patios that are not attached to the main building shall not exceed 20 square
I'm
meters.
not gonna have, yeah, no, I'm not putting a deck around it, so
Okay.
that's fine with me, no problem.
Condition number 12, the storage shed shall comply with the minimum lot line setback for the main building.
Which we've just, oh yeah, sure, yep, that's fine, I think I'm within that anyways. I'm not sure what the line setback is, but I think 7.756.
Okay,
And then the last condition, condition number 13, the applicant shall submit confirmation from an Ontario land surveyor, architect, or other professional to satisfy conditions 9 to 12.
So that means that I come back after the building is rebuilt to show, because I have the survey already here, right?
So during your building permit
Okay.
application process, they'll ask for the conditions.
Confirmation.
Yep.
Yep, okay. I'm good with that.
okay, so I think we've already been through the paperwork, right? We've already granted, so that's it.
Yay, thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a great-
Yes.
Well, it's been exciting.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay, can I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Jerry. All in favor? Meeting adjourned at 12:37. I think we set a record.